How's my volume coming through to you?
You're doing fine now. Okay, here we go. Yes, we are. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I just had some technical difficulties, but those who know me know that I have a propensity to do things like that. Hi, Claude Sailing. How you doing this evening? I want to welcome you all to the inaugural Filk Quest with my guest tonight, Rinehart, very good friend of mine who's a writer and also a geek music filker. We'll be getting more into that tonight. What I'd like to do first of all, though, is go over a couple things that we've got coming up on the channel. Let's see. Bring this over here. Tomorrow night, we are having a special release of Heritage, Menard 2, at 8 o'clock Central. That's 7 o'clock. Pardon me. It's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard and 7 o'clock Central. I saw it tonight. Vance let me have a peek sneak at it. It is fantastic. I want you all to be there. Friday night's Critical Not Cynical, Ties that Bind, the second episode of Starship Valiant, Michael King. Hey, Ian, I see that you're here. So that's the second episode of Starship Valiant, and you know it's going to be a good one. I hope Michael will come on with us again and explain some of the behind the scenes again. Hey, Vance. Hey, brother. How you doing tonight? And then Saturday night, we have a special Pizza Roll Diaries that Vance has not put up yet. And that he'll be talking to Captain Ramirez of the Avalon universe. So that's going to be a treat. So certainly be there. Monday Pizza Roll Diary at 10. Oh, and that's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard for the Pizza Roll Diaries, which will be 8 Central on Saturday night. And of course, our usual night for Critical Not Cynical at 11 o'clock Friday night. And then Monday's Pizza Roll Diaries at 10 a.m., 9 o'clock Central. Patrick Barnett plays a Borg in some of the films. And then next week, for my second guest, I will have Filker DJ McGuire, who is another very good friend, actually plays bass for us on the Nefarious Ferret. So we've got some good shows coming up along with the regular lineups that we have for the other content creators. So let's just see, who do we have? So we have Claude. Hi, Claude again. Ian. Let's see. Ian says, okay. There we are. It says, greetings, Gray. No, Gray. And, I'll tell you a little story about that afterwards. I think I called him Gary for the first 6 times that I ever talked to him until he finally threw something at me. And then my partner in crime, hey, brother, Vance, I hope things are going well at work. Catman, D.D. Myers, how you doing tonight? Greetings to you also. All righty. So looks like the usual gang is coming in, and I want to thank everybody for attending this evening. So without further ado, and USS ARNG, how you doing? So, Gray, and not Gary.
That's all right. I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah. It's good to have you on the program. How far back do we go? I was trying to figure it out the other night.
I'm not sure. It's a good few years.
I trying to think.
It has to go back to a Con Carolinas, probably at least 8 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
I would think so. I was playing my Takamine Black 12-string at the time, and I have that picture on my Facebook, on one of my Facebooks, of that circle. It was the first time that we ever called it the campfire. And Matricula was up there, and that was before I met DJ. You really got back into that world, and we just had a fantastic night that night. And as I was saying earlier, I called you Gary for the first 5 or 6 times that I contacted you to see what's going. So tell me, how's it going?
Going fairly well. Not as much progress as I would like to be able to report on some fronts, but just chipping away at the project here and a project there, and hopefully one of these days we'll have a finished product to talk about.
Well, let me get into those people that don't know, and that's why I wanted to start this series. Is we usually hear the music, but I want to get to know the people. I want them to know us as filkers or writers or geek music. There's so much of a span that our small segment in the music area fandom comprises, and it's kind of mushroomed out. What do you consider yourself? A filker, a geek?
I've puzzled over that for a while because I was trying to decide whether I would rather be known as a writer who sings or a singer who writes. Not so much the pole dancing thing, although I have a friend of mine who does that and has made quite a run at it. And I guess at this stage, I'm probably comfortable presenting myself as a writer who sings, because my writing is not just the fiction and nonfiction, but also the songwriting. But all of us have very varied backgrounds from all the people that I've talked to in the Filk community, because we all come at it from, or come to fandom from different directions, not just in terms of what we like, but in terms of what we've done. I'm pretty amazed, I guess, at the breadth of humanity that is represented when we get together to play music.
Now, that's one of the interesting things, that you come from a background technically as a rocket scientist.
Well, no, that's a little strong. Rocket engineer might be closer, but even that goes too far because, I was kind of on the periphery of the rocketry and wasn't too involved in anything other than the static testing and then the procurement of the rockets and the support facilities when I was part of the Air Force.
And in that position in there, you've learned quite a few very interesting words. Well,
at the Rocket Lab especially, where we synthesized all manner of new chemicals that didn't have names, but then we also used a bunch of standard rocket propellant ingredients. You kind of pick up some terminology along the way.
I'm just thinking about that. You wouldn't have your git fiddle around, would you?
Well, I do. What are you in particular?
I was thinking if you might want to do that particular song with all the words in it.
Oh,
yes, that's where I was leading.
That one.
Okay, so while he goes out there, and he is another ovation man. You are another ovation man, I was saying.
That is true. That is true. All right. So, Let me. I'm not musically enough skilled to be able to just do things off the top of my head. So I have to.
We're filkers.
I wasn't going to necessarily, lump everybody in the community into having my own weaknesses.
By the way, you need to get one of these. It's called the Green Cup.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Very good. Very good. All right. So what we're talking about then is smoke and fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to make some adjustments over here on my other screen so that I can actually get all of it. There we go. I did, in fact, tune the guitar a little bit before this, so hopefully it's...
We tune because we like you.
So you'll have to, if the mix is not good, or if I need to tone things down a little bit, you make sure you jump in and tell me.
Yeah.
Some people, when they mention locks, think bagels and cream cheese. But I mean liquid oxygen for rocket engines, if you please. Smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire, smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire. My cord is in the way, so I'm going to have to make an adjustment here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Up in the California desert. By the way, when I mention the California desert and this place, this is the rocket lab where I work. So, up in the California desert where the road runners play and the desert tortoise cowers under the Joshua tree shade, there stands a lonely mountain by the name of Lehman Ridge, where fire-breathing dragons known as rocket engines live. We got 1.5 million pounds of thrust from Rocketine's F1 that launched the mighty Saturn V, burning LOX and RP-1. Even high-grade kerosene was no good for the space shuttle's main engine. To launch the STS took LOX and liquid hydrogen. Smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire, smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire. Many fuels will get you going, mixed with nitrogen tetroxide. Some monopropellant thrusters run on hydrogen peroxide. May not know that early fuels were sometimes alcoholic, and if they ignite on contact, then we call them hypergolic. But if you don't like BFRCs, solid rockets make the grade. Mix some aluminum with some ammonium perchlorate or nitrate. Blend it right and you'll get some of the hottest fire you've ever seen. If you bind it well with hydroxy-terminated polybutadiene. Smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire, smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire. Or solar sails would be efficient, and fusion would be pretty clean. Antimatter, warp drive, an incredible machine. But unless we get a lot more inventive, all of these are just our dreams. For now, nothing fires the jets like monomethylhydrazine. We might get more exotic with beryllium and earthna, or fluorine or pentaborate, or even anhydrous ammonia. We'll leave out HMX and RDX and nitroglycerine. Because if we just want to blow something up, we'll use trinitrotoluene, which is TNT. Smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire, smoke and fire, smoke and fire. We're riding to the sky on a pillar of smoke and fire. And when people tell me it's not rocket science, I say, I know.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. Donna says, he loves to see how many syllables he can get into one line.
It is true. It is true. I was over at a friend's house the other day, and we were doing a scratch track of a new song. And his comment was, it would not be a great Rinehart song unless there was a excess of syllables per measure. And I actually figured out driving around the other day part of why it is that way.
And why is that?
Well, I was driving around, and the Moody Blues song, "The Story in Your Eyes," came on, and I started listening to it, and I realized they did that in that song, and in a lot of their songs. There's the tempo is fast, and there's a lot of words in there, and they were a big influence on me coming up. And I don't know whether to thank them or blame them. I guess other people would have opinions on that.
Well, when I try to do Romulan ale, I curse the words above.
Well, yes, that try to do it fast, and then it's really a challenge.
A challenge, and I may have you. I may ask your indulgence later on that, because I don't like that song at all.
No, I know that's one of the ones that you particularly despise. So we'll have to see about that.
So, what got you into music?
I grew up adjacent to a lot of music. My mom was a piano player and organist. She directed the choir in our church, and she played organ and directed the choir in another church. All this, one service was at 10, and our service was at 11, and she'd do her bit and jump in the car and come over and do ours. And so I grew up singing. She tried to teach me piano, and I wasn't having it. And I tried to learn guitar, and it wasn't happening. And what's funny is, or maybe it's tragic actually, my guitar teacher asked me, and yes, Ian, Marvin the Martian back here, absolutely. My guitar teacher asked me what bands I liked, and I threw out Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And so he taught me the chords for Lucky Man.
Yes, excellent.
And when I started picking up guitar again later, I remembered them. And so even though I had stopped playing as a teenager and not played for over a decade, I could still, he had white horses and ladies by the score, all dressed in satin and waiting by the door. Oh, what a lucky man he was. Oh, what a lucky man he was. And when I realized that I could remember that, it irritated me that I had not kept up with it for those intervening years, because I would be a really much better guitar player than I am now.
You and I seem to have the same. You're pretty much self-taught like I am, Ben. I had little lessons.
Videos and things like that have helped. Yeah. But when I finally decided to take it up, because I didn't have much else to do in Greenland when I was there, I just kind of picked it up and I started doing little things with it. Learned a couple of songs, wrote a filk, if you will, about Thule when I was leaving, and did a very bad job performing it at my farewell party. But it was something, and I always knew that the Filk community existed, but I was not involved in fandom because we were moving around from place to place, and it wasn't really in the cards to be involved in that. But once I got out of the service and was getting involved in the industry, I just I knew that I wanted to get into the musical side of things.
So that is interesting. Now, you said you knew about Filk at that point. I'm kind of a late starter in the Filk myself, because I actually did not discover Filk until 1998. However, in my earlier years, I was writing Filk and didn't realize it. And did you find that possibly? You were saying, I thought that was interesting when you were in Greenland.
Well, yeah, it turned out that I had written Filks, workplace Filks, even before I got assigned to Greenland, because at the Titan System Program Office at Vandenberg Air Force Base, I was involved in putting together the entertainment for some of our dining outs, and wrote rocket-related songs to Beatles tunes.
Okay, so you were parodying.
So I was doing that part of it, but I actually learned about Filk, I want to say, from something in Asimov's back in the 70s or 80s. I mean, when I was real little, I learned that there was this thing called Filk, and it existed at conventions, but I didn't live anywhere where there were any conventions. And so when I came back to this world, it was still there, bigger and better than ever.
So when did you first get into? Well, let's ask this: when was your first convention that you actually tagged along, brought the guitar, and sat down and maybe sat in a circle? Or maybe not.
Probably Dragon Con in 2008, maybe.
Okay.
I had gone to a Mars Con, and I had gone to here in the Raleigh-Durham area to Trinicon and to some others, and had gone to Dragon Con. And I had gone to the Filk room, found the Filk room by accident, because at that time at Dragon Con, Filk was in the basement corner area of the Hyatt in a tiny room, and it wasn't very busy, but Robbie Hilliard was in the process of building that up, and he and Amber and Pat succeeded beyond anybody's wildest dreams in terms of really making the Filk music track pretty impressive for Dragon Con. But that was probably the first time that I actually participated. The first Filk song I wrote based on something I heard in a panel at MarsCon. And it wasn't something that any of the panelists said. It was a conversation that was taking place in front of me between two guys before the panel started. And I said, oh, that might be something to write a song about. And so I did.
So I know you're a writer too, because now how does that fit with your Filk? Do you find it easier, or let's ask this. Do you approach your writing the same way you approach your musical writing?
No, not at all. And I wish that I could be more systematic about both, because if I could be more productive in each regard. I generally try to figure out at the very least, how a story is going to end, so that I know, sort of what needs to happen to get there. A lot of times, if I'm in the middle of writing the story, though, I'll end up in a different place, and then I have to, that's when you have to really kind of do a lot of the rewriting to make something. But for Filks, for me, I more often than not start with the words, because I am a writer, lyricist, if you will, more so than a musician. And so, sometimes it'll be, I just happen to have this sitting here where I had scratched out some lines for another political song that I haven't done anything with. And I have files and files of just little couplets and quatrains and sometimes more, or something that has occurred to me based on an existing tune that I want to do something with but haven't yet. And it's a very different process for me, and it's rare for me to start with the music, but it's also, even when I have the words down and a tune in my head that goes with the words, because I'm not that skilled musically, it's hard for me to figure out, oh, at this point in the song, it should be a G chord instead of a D chord, or it should be an A minor instead of an E minor, or whatever it happens to be. And it can be a real challenge for me to, because I can hear it in my head. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, my two friends who helped me with my CDs were here at the house trying to help me figure out what are the chords that go along with one of the songs for my new album. Because I tabbed it out to where I know, how the melody goes in tablature, but I can't make chords fit to it because it's weird. And
now you see, you can at least figure that part of it out. Tab and I go back and forth. So,
well, I get very confused when I look at it in terms of, oh, what is that, and what is that, and how does it, and it took me probably over a week just to figure out note by note the verse of the song, not the chorus, not the bridge, just the verse. And I do better on those simpler songs where I can actually, figure out, oh yeah, that an A, I can sing the line with an A chord, and then I can sing one with an E, and make it work that way. Oh, thank you for the plug, Donna.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, since you brought it up, we were talking about how your music is, but I did want to get to this also. Give us a little synopsis of what this is about.
Well, I'm going to try to do this without
giving away spoilers.
Well, no, I'm going to try to do it without tearing everything up in.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
Okay.
And you can get that on Amazon, right? Oh, you can't hear me. And you can get that on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is available at Amazon or directly from the Wordfire Press website, or it's actually also available on the Baen Books website.
Right, Baen Books.
Baen.com, because Baen has an agreement with Wordfire Press.
Yeah, I'll get that information from you later, and I'll put it on the I'll put it down in the description. So
yeah, I would like to be able to say that this is the first of many novels that I've written, but it's not. It's the second novel I wrote and the only one that has been published. Hopefully, I will write some more, and maybe even this as a sequel to this story. But this is a story of the first commercial lunar colony, because I was kind of thinking in my head that we have stories like 2001, where while the story is taking place, that lunar colony already exists. It's already this big, and it's got, there are things being built, but the colony exists as the background. Same thing with The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. The colony exists, and it's where the action takes place, and that's great. Those are fantastic stories. But I thought for each of those, there are stories to be told of the people who are turning wrenches and digging dirt and building things in the very beginning. And that's what I was trying to accomplish here with the story, primarily of two environmental engineers who are in charge of keeping the air breathable and the water potable, and keeping the colony alive. And I like to, it's been compared to The Martian. That was wonderful when a book list actually compared it to The Martian. But it's different from The Martian, and I don't want to give people the wrong impression by saying, oh, it's like The Martian. Well, kind of, sort of. It's very much man against the elements, as The Martian is, or in this case, man against the lack of elements. But where The Martian is, one guy trying to survive, and it's kind of a study of the psychology of loneliness. Mine is, these are people who have to work together, and sometimes they like each other and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have the same objectives and sometimes they don't. But if they don't work together, they're not going to survive. And so it's more the sociology of cooperation and cooperative work.
Real life, really.
And the other thing is that where The Martian has the science in it is so strong and so well done, but it can be a little daunting, because he has to figure out, how many potatoes can I grow, and can I survive the number of days that it's going to take for them to come get me. In my story, the science is there, but it's more in the background. I'm not beating you about the head and shoulders with the scientific content. So a little bit different in that respect.
Yeah, and it's an excellent book. I have to say, if anybody has the one, I mean, it's a realistic book. Things like The Expanse, to me. I am so in awe of that, and I hesitate even to mention mine in the same breath with those, because mine is so simple compared to the complexity that they get into, and the much higher stakes and things that they get into. But I tried very hard for realism. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
In terms of people's reactions, in terms of, if you make a mistake, this is what happens. And I would be remiss if I didn't also say, for those who perhaps prefer audio, the novel is in audio, and narrated by a very fine narrator, who I would think was very fine even if she wasn't my daughter.
Jeez, I wonder why. But the reason I brought up
there's a story behind that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And that is that she sent in her audition under her married name. So the publisher did not know who she was, and sent me a note saying, hey, we got an audition from a lady, and she's really good. And I just kind of smiled, and when I heard it, I was like, yep, I know who that is. But she was the best of all of the auditions that we got, and did a very, very fine job, especially with the accents. I think she carried off the different accents very well.
Good.
And if anybody else thinks so, please, if anybody else thinks so, please put a review up and
absolutely
give her kudos for that.
So you have a nickname.
Do I?
Yes, the Gray Man.
Well, that's Gray. Believe it or not, Gray is actually a nickname because my name is actually Graham.
I never asked you that before. That's interesting.
Well, there are some people who are named Gray, and that is their name. I was given that as a shortened form of Graham. But then when we moved down to South Carolina, down to the Grand Strand, I learned that there was this ghost that haunts Pawleys Island around the time of hurricanes that's called the Gray Man. And I was all about that. I said, well, that's going to be my alter ego. And so I like to say that, the Gray Man comes out to warn people about hurricanes. And if you heed his warning, then you make it safely through the storm. And I'm not going to say that I necessarily, the tales I write or the songs I sing are cautionary. But where they are, the same thing applies. If you heed the warning, you make it through.
And where can we find your music? Because you've got some excellent songs, and I'd love the world to hear about them.
Well, I appreciate that. I do have a Bandcamp site, Reinehart.bandcamp.com, I think is the way it is. And if that's wrong, I'm sorry. I don't have it memorized.
I'll get all that stuff.
But I also have a website of my own, and it is Gray Man Writes. And just as you would consider it, Gray, GraymanWrites.com. And I don't keep it as complete as I should. I think there's been a couple of, I don't know that I have included the story I wrote that was in this issue of Asimov last year. So I haven't really kept it up as much as I should, right. But the information that's on there is accurate. May not be complete, but it's accurate.
But accurate. We'll take care of that. So what's next?
Well, next for me, in terms of the convention scene, is Congregate in July. Looking forward to that. And in terms of writing, I am trying to finish up a story for an anthology project. And then hot on the heels of that, I have another story that I've been asked to write for another anthology. And those are, I'm finding it difficult to get back in the business of prose writing. I haven't been doing it for quite a while, for personal reasons. But I'm struggling and determined to get those done. And in the meantime, I have enough songs that I've done scratch tracks for to actually do 2 complete albums. But we're working on one at a time, and it's not going as quickly as anybody hoped it would, and so I don't really have an estimated time for when that project is going to be completed. We had hoped that it might be midsummer, and there's probably still some chance of that. But it likely is going to slip at least into the fall.
Okay, understood.
And that will be entitled "Taking You Out to See the Stars."
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm trying to think. Have I heard any songs from that yet?
Well, you've heard "Taking You Out to See the Stars."
Yeah, I was going to say that was at
that is the title song.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, because Donna and I will be at Congregate, so we're going to get a whole circle again together, and DJ will be there.
Very good.
So we have our bassist back. And I'm doing, he's next week, as a matter of fact. And Matricula is the week after that. And then, who's after? Oh, wait a minute. I lied. Next week is Chuck Parker.
Oh,
no
okay.
No relation, of course, but he's a brother by another mother. Then it's Matricula. Then it's DJ. So
all right.
Yeah, and in August I've got Cat Faber.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, and so it's going to be fun, and I hope that this catches on, because tonight's been a great start off, and I really appreciate you coming on. Great. You were the first person
I'm always
I thought
willing to be your guinea pig. I'll help you out.
Thank you, Colonel. But anyways, does anybody have any questions for Gray while we have him here?
I think we may have lost all the audience. I think they've.
I know
they probably skipped out. They probably skipped out when I started singing.
No. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Yeah, there's still 5 out there. I can see them. Yeah. But a lot of the times we get a lot of our views, on the repeats and stuff like that, which is fine, because the biggest thing is, I know, Ian, you're still here. I'm glad it happened.
Well, thank you.
It's good. So, did you have anything you wanted to say before I ask you to sing us out?
I don't have any other announcements to make that I can think of. I did show off my. I am wearing my colors here.
Yeah.
Baen Books. This is. I am a contributing editor for Baen Books, and at www.baen.com, BAEN.com. We can set you up. We have a free library for things that you might want to just try something out and try before you buy, kind of thing. And if you're a science fiction and fantasy fan, that's one of the places to go. And of course, then I would also remind folks that there's also Wordfire Press, WFP, Wordfire Press, who graciously consented to publish my novel. But on Baen.com, you will find that we have links and agreements to provide books from many other publishers. Chris Kennedy Publishing and others also are available at Baen.com.
Okay, super. Now, I have one of these things. It's called disagreement with the spouse. I know you know which one I was going to ask you. So this is what she wants you to do.
All right. Well, I would be remiss in or it would not be good for you or me for us to go against her wishes, now would it?
No. Hey, look at it. She's got the frying pans. I know where she keeps them. He wants you to do both.
What?
If you want to do both, go ahead.
I don't know if we have time for that, but we'll see. But we'll start with this one because this is what Donna asked for. Oh, I see now she's put in another vote.
Yeah.
But I dreamed that I was on the ice world off. And high above in orbit was our imperial foe. They sent down their crazy elephant walking machinery of death. So we saddled up our tauntauns to meet them in the snow. We were riding our tauntauns to glory. 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 Now if the tree huggers have their way, and our SUVs are rusting out in the salvage yard, I hope the geneticists make some tauntauns out of recombinant DNA, because then life in the new ice age might not be so hard. We'll be riding our tauntauns to glory, riding our tauntauns to glory, riding our tauntauns to glory, riding our tauntauns to glory. When you venture out riding on your tauntaun, be careful not to stay out too long in the night, or you might want to take a pop-up igloo and survival kit, so you won't have to cut up your tauntaun and spend the night inside. Rather be riding our tauntauns to glory, 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 riding our tauntauns to glory.
Very, very nice. Very nice. And yes, I think we've got time if you want to do Romulan Ale. It's up to you.
Twist my arm. Twist my arm. Oh my goodness. It's one that everybody seems to like. So, but maybe I'll cut out a verse to make it a little shorter. So, okay. And then people can pick up the CD. This is from my first CD, Truths and Lies and Make Believe, if they want to hear the whole thing. Some people swear by mother's milk for nutrition and a buzz, a nasty little throwback to the beer on earth that was. Some folks go for synthahol to avoid intoxication, but they will never know the joys of my preferred libation. Bring me another Romulan ale. Its social lubrication leads to my inebriation and the relaxation of my inhibitions without fail. Like another Romulan ale. Bring me the brew that's bold and blue. Call all the crew and just me and you for another Romulan ale. You know, Frank, I don't understand why you had any trouble getting all those words in. You know, I tried a little Tranya, but it didn't have much kick, and the taste of Klingon blood wine made me very, very sick. So the time I tried Ambrosio was a planet scale disaster. It still rates higher than the Baen Galactic Gargo Blaster. Bring me another Romulan ale. Its social lubrication leads to my inebriation and the relaxation of my inhibitions without fail. I'd like another Romulan ale. Bring me the brew that's bold and blue. Call all the crew and just me and you for another Romulan ale. You know, sometimes it's Saurian brandy, and sometimes it's smoking port. Sometimes it's Aldebaran whiskey when you want a little snort. Sometimes it's really ancient Scotch that you hold in high esteem. And sometimes you don't know what it is. All you can say is that it's green. But I'll take another Romulan ale. Its social lubrication leads to my inebriation and the relaxation of my inhibitions without fail. Bring me another Romulan ale. Bring me the brew that's bold and blue. Call all the crew, just me and you for another Romulan ale. Oh, bring me the brew that's bold and blue. Call all the crew, just me and you for another Romulan ale.
Folks, Greg Rinehart. Greg, I want to thank you for being my guest tonight. It's been a ball. Looking forward to seeing you at Congregate so we can sit around and pound the strings together and stuff like that.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. And everybody else, thank you for coming tonight. And like I said, next week we'll have Chuck Parker And we have our things coming up. Thank you, Claude. And everybody, yes, like the seeds of a dandelion, let us spread our music through the air. And that's a Filker symbol because we do that.
Yep.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. It's been great. I toast, but you won't see my cup. Take care, everybody. Be good. Be careful, and we'll see you. We'll see you for Critical, Not Cynical. Thank you very much. Take care now.
Thanks a lot.